This first fight of the evening is in the bantamweight category. Scheduled 3 rounds of 5 minutes. Fighting out of the blue corner, representing Romania, stands in at 165 centimeters tall, 61.1 kilograms. Ladies and gentlemen, he has a professional record of 5 fights, 2 wins and 3 losses. Your applause is for Florin, Unbreakable Stan! His opponent in the red corner from the United States of America stands in at 162 centimeters tall, 61.2 kilograms, making his MMA debut, Colton Kielbasa! When the referee in this fight is Mr. Daniel Sharifi.
Okay, guys, you know the rules.
We are ready to go in this pro MMA bout. Remember, this will be 3 rounds of 5 minutes. Colton Kielbasa is in the all-orange shorts, while Florin Stan is in the black and orange. If you're Kielbasa, MMA pro debut here, Robin, what do you want to do? How do you want to ease into these first few minutes, seconds?
So this is a different... how about a head kick? That's not a bad way.
Oh, and quick. And there's the shot.
So the head kick to the double leg takedown is not something you see a ton except for people who've wrestled their whole lives. Because the foot comes down to the ground, you amortize the energy and you drive, and now he's in the mount. This is exactly where a wrestler wants to be. He wants to be on top, he landed a head kick, he got the takedown, now he wants to elbow this gentleman, or move to the head and arm choke, which he's kind of trying to set up here.
And could you imagine, Robin, as a wrestler, a better situation, your pro debut to be in than this?
No.
Simply put, no, you cannot.
I cannot. Landing a head kick in the first 30 seconds, and now moving to the mount. You watch his feet. It's called grapevining, where you wrap the feet around the legs and then extend them, and that keeps the body flat. You want him to be truly prone. Watch the left fingers now. As you see it, the way he's just walking with his hands, he's trying to move the right arm, and then he'll put his left ear to the tricep and try to set up a head and arm choke. It's a wrestler classic from the top position.
And it's interesting as well, Robin, how Kielbasa has managed to move Stan from the side of the fence further into the middle of the octagon.
It's going to be really hard. I mean, we talked about body types, so it's wrestling, but also look at this low center of gravity this man has. Well, there you have it. You know, that is the ideal scenario for him, and now he's into a good position here, but the little hip out, flowing from side to side is Kielbasa, but excellent work from Florin Stan. Just as we were saying, it's going to be difficult to get out. There's a knee. The second he stands up, you can knee the head right now.
Yeah, so he's not got any of his hands on the floor, right? So now the knees are completely legal from Stan.
Exactly. So,
but it looks like Kielbasa has now got the dominant position. He's got Stan against the cage.
His goal now will be to take the back if he can. That right arm is wrapped around to his armpit. He'd have to pass that, so that's kind of gone, but he'll strip the leg away. Oh, but look at Kielbasa. This kid didn't come to get kicked in the head and submitted from the top. He's now got the mount position. And we talked about the management of your own energy. You know, that's a shot. Yeah, the shot to the back of the head is not legal, but it didn't look like, you know, he was planning it. So, see the left arm?
Yeah.
See? It's trapped, right? So that choke doesn't need...
He's not got any leg. Do you normally need the legs over this to lock him in?
You don't have to have the legs, but you do need to be underneath the chin. So this will be a really nice spot. Colton slid himself as low as possible to float out. You saw he was using neither of his hands because he didn't need them. And this is a nice spot for the wrestler to be on.
For sure. So what should Kielbasa be looking at now? He's got this nice side control position.
Yeah, it's a great question because there's a lot of different ways to approach any scenario. You can try to buck your way out and come to your feet like he's doing, or you can incrementally work your way back, which is, you know, in fighting, like in life, sometimes you make the big move and sometimes you make the small moves. He might be better served to slowly fight his way back to half guard because he's about to get mounted here if he doesn't.
Cool. So, Robin, we've been told that your mic is dropping about a bit in the broadcast. So any viewers at home, don't worry, we will remedy that very shortly. So just bear with us. So what we're seeing at the minute is Kielbasa is now back against the fence, and Stan has taken the dominant position in this clinch grapple. So I believe, Robin, your microphone should be operating a little bit more functionally now.
Very interesting here. Florin Stan, you know, he really didn't seem impressed or overly distracted or bothered by the fact that this young man kicked him in the head and took him down. He came here to fight. He came here to try to win and compete in every single position. That's exactly what he's doing. But ultimately, Colton does have the advantages here. When he joins his hand, if he joins his hands, you will be almost certainly taken down. So the game is to prevent him from doing that, and he was still able to take him down, but then back to his feet. Colton now will continue this game. If he can't keep him down, they'll allow him or encourage him to get up again and again and again until he fatigues him. That's the approach.
So for the people at home, how exhausting is a position like this? Just having like a wrestler just leaning against you on a cage?
It's so excruciating, and it's something that isn't talked about that much as we watch fighting. But get on a treadmill and put a man on your back and then run on uphill for 5 minutes. It doesn't matter how fit you are. You push yourself so close to 100% that you will fatigue.
But so far, Stan, it doesn't look like that's happening at all. And that is the end of the first round, even though Stan is staying on the floor there a little bit, a little bit like he's exhausted.
Yeah, well, he is tired, and there's no question about it. So it's his option how he would like to manage it. So that push-off with the straight arm, he accomplished that twice, which is excellent work by Florin Stan. Multiple takedowns by Colton. And here, see how that's on the sides of the cheeks? Nice spot to be. You can control a man from there, but you can't cut off the blood flow to the brain. So Colton knew that and slid his own pelvis as low as possible and worked his way up.
And Andy, do you have an idea of the how would you score that round if you were the judges?
Well, to be honest, Colton seemed to control, have the more dominant position. Although we did see Florin, you know, take the back and Robin, to be honest, to me it looked more like a neck crank.
Yes. Yeah, but to really get that neck crank, you've got to have some kind of control on the lower body. You've got to put something else in traction. Otherwise, the body will just move with the crank. But if you put the low body either at the pelvic girdle or the spine in traction, now you can crank that neck. This is going to be something Florin is really going to want to not overly attacking here. Strike and move, strike and move.
So we are in the second of 3 rounds of 5 minutes. Colton Kielbasa is in the orange. Florin Stan is in the black and orange. And it looks like Kielbasa has picked up where he left off, Robin.
So he did, when he goes back and looks at this, and with his coaches, they'll be like, we don't want you literally just trying to tackle. However, it worked awesome, right? Like, just because that in the future, as he progresses, he won't want to just zap that space and try to time it in such a way he doesn't get hit, because he will get hit progressively. But tonight, that worked perfectly. All he wanted to accomplish is go to the fence. Like we were talking earlier, sometimes fighting is best accomplished incrementally. So he had mission 1, get a hold of this man. Mission 2, put him to the fence. Mission 3, get the strong underhook, get your head under his chin, and progressively work him to the ground. And it's a smart approach because it also fatigues the other man, now shouldering underneath the chin.
So what does Stan need to do here? We've got to assume that the first round most likely went to Kielbasa. Stan has to turn it around, but how is he going to disengage from this sort of fight?
So it's a very interesting dynamic here, and that is Kielbasa was not immediately dropping down, and you see why, because he found that this man is defending very well, but he's just going to slowly work his way down. Now, Stan will play around with this Kimura potentially, which is sort of a hammerlock of the arm that you can use to sweep or attack. Now striking.
But But now Kielbasa's got hold of that single leg. I was about to say that's what happens when you get hold of the single leg.
That's right. And then he, you know, this is the problem when you're fighting a kid who's going to come in here and aggressively attack in the grappling department. You'll defend 1, and then you'll defend 2, and then he'll get up, and then you'll defend 3. But inevitably what happens is when you're down, now this is actually considered a low mount. See how both the legs are wrapped? So although he's not mounted the way it was earlier, he has mounted the legs.
And this is something Khabib is famous for practicing, correct?
Yeah, and man, kids like Colton, when they have spent the last few years watching masters like Khabib, George St. Pierre, and the generation before, they see this game and it just appeals to them. They can grind and crush and wear out the opponent. And that becomes part of the game here. It isn't just, I want the takedown. It is, I want the takedown, and when you go down, I want you to take a deep breath and be tired. And then the rounds become easier and easier for the man that is on top.
It's that wrestling mentality, I guess, that grind. So I've noticed something here that Stan seems to be keeping his arm like locked around Kielbasa's neck. What needs to happen here for him to try and, because actually partially he's looking at a guillotine or some sort of neck submission.
There is a threat there, but often you can't see his hand, but often you'll control the chin. So take the palm of your hand, and you can do it at home when you're watching. You grab your own chin. Now start pulling it side to side. Where the head goes, the spine follows, right? So you try to control here, but it's not doing him enough favors. It's not really working as well as he would like. So he can choose to instead put the forearm or the thumb across the nose and the face and kind of make space. Right now, he's kind of holding himself in there. Very, very good round for Colton Kielbasa. And you know, bear this in mind when we're watching these types of scenarios. People don't always appreciate the beauty of this. Wrestling, at its root, is about dominating another physical specimen, physically dominating other men. And that is what Colton Kielbasa spent his life doing. And Florin Stan would love to stand up and punch this man in the face, but that gets harder and harder to do as you fatigue.
For sure, and I can see, do you reckon there's enough action going here? I'm just trying to see if the referee at any point is, you can see him looking in there to see whether he's going to stand them up.
Yeah, fair point. But Florin gets up, and this will be so disheartening if he ends up going right back down, because look how hard he worked. He can spin, a clockwise spin over top of that. But hey.
Nice reversal.
Very nice, you know. No matter how this fight goes, Florin wins, Colton wins, we go the distance, Florin belongs in mixed martial arts. You know, it is very easy to get discouraged in a fight like this, start to fade. We're almost through 2 rounds, and Florin Stan has not faded. He has not been discouraged. He's in a very gritty, tough fight, and he is still in it.
No, you can see he has not given up, and he has just kept on going, which, considering everything you said about the domineering nature of wrestling, it's a lot. It might look easy but in reality, it's impossible to imagine.
Painful.
So that is the second round done, and another one I think we all got to agree. Probably one on the bank for Kielbasa.
Indeed, I would say it's a 10-9 round for Kielbasa, indeed. Robin, I have a question for you. So we saw in round 1 and in round 2, Colton just charging out, looking to get Florin straight to the cage. Do you think, as a wrestler, that is his game plan?
So the cage for a wrestler that's developed into a full free-fighting mixed martial arts. By the way, if you notice, if we see Colton in his corner, we may not, you'll see cornering him is Christoph Kirsch, who will be fighting in our co-main event. And in fact, I believe was coming here strictly to corner him when he accepted the fight. There you see, that's him with his hands wrapped, of course, because he will be fighting in the co-main event.
That's what you need for a cornerman as well. Hands wrapped just in case.
And listen, when you have a man in your corner that is willing to fight like that, that inspires you. But yes, I think a kid like this will use the cage as sort of a vertical playing surface. You see Colton's fatigue too. You see it, but fatigue is a familiar, partner for somebody who has grappled his whole life and wrestled in America his whole life.
So we are entering our third and final round. Kielbasa is in the all-orange shorts. Stan is in the black and orange. So we've got a little bit of stand-up exchange here, Robin. What does Stan need? Beautiful kick. What does Stan need to do to try and change the wave of this?
So I was just about to say, kick that up, the top of the calf or the bottom of the quadricep, and right then he did. Those kicks are very powerful. He's switching off to the body now. I love that he's not afraid to throw kicks. You know, a lot of times people say, "Oh, don't kick; he's going to take you down." Well, the answer isn't don't do something. The answer is have a counter to his takedown, and that is a more developed, more sophisticated line of thinking. And Florin Stan showing that. Also, patience. 4 minutes is a long time in a professional cage fight. It's a long time. You don't need to knock this guy out with one spinning, jumping, flying axe kick. You can pick away 2 jabs, 3 jabs, 2 low kicks, 3 low kicks. Now open up the right hand. Florin stand through this minute. This is as good as he has looked throughout. And notice when he'll strike, watch him move away. So watch. Easing his way in, small steps, small steps. Then he'll strike when he gets the chance, and he'll float back out. Kick, and now circle out.
And you can see as well, his kicks are making a difference. If you look on the left-hand side of Kielbasa's ribs, you can see a big red mark opening. But Kielbasa went on him fast there, Robin.
Yes, he did. And that time, when he does look back, like we said earlier, in round 2, he successfully traveled the gap and wrestled. But he did it in a dangerous way. This time he did it on the outside of the leg, circling around to the back. And now he will tear this man to the ground. Almost reversed. Florin stands still in it. But, and Florin stand now acknowledges or accepts or embraces the open guard here. So his legs are around him. That's a different scenario than we've seen. You pointed out, look at the red mark on the outside of the head of that calf.
Yeah, that's already, and that was, what, 2 free kicks?
Yeah.
Lighting him up, so you can understand why Kielbasa shot here. So, Stan, how does he get up and get back to the area of the cage he was actually having quite a decent impact?
So Stan has, you know, multiple options here. As soon as you see his feet open, that tells you, okay, maybe he's potentially looking to get up. Use your feet on the hips to make space and get your own hips out. When he closes his feet like this, he is at least multiple steps away from standing. One approach, and maybe the one he's taking right now, hold this man here and get a stand-up. It's one that you don't control, so it's not ideal, but sometimes you feel you do not have another choice. But see how, as you lock up your hands and you lock your arms in and you take away the gap, if Colton can't free himself, the referee might stand you up. But if it takes 30 seconds to do it, that's 30 seconds you need.
Yeah, and that's 30 seconds of top control from Kielbasa. The round then switches further his way, and then it goes into the situation we're talking about that Stan didn't want earlier, which was to need the flying knee, the axe kick, the Hail Mary, as
the spinning hook kick, yes. Hail Mary, I believe, besides being a religious reference, I believe comes from throwing a football all the way to the other end. Don't quote me on that. They don't fight in football, so I don't know much about it.
Yeah, I'm not even from that continent, so I was like, do they throw a ball in football? I thought it was all foot-based.
That's right. But you know, it's a tough spot to be in here because with 90 seconds left, and at home often we'll be like, he's got to stand up. Why doesn't he? He's exhausted. He has literally had a backpack full of 135-pound rocks running up a hill for 13 and a half minutes. It's incredibly fatiguing. Just holding on here is difficult. And that is how the wrestler that's on this night, Colton, that is how they weaponize energy. They weaponize energy to fatigue.
So for our European audiences, who obviously we don't really have, especially in Western Europe, the wrestling culture that, you know, universities and such have in North America. What is it about that mindset that just seems to make them so successful?
That's a really great question, man, because it truly is a mindset. It is a grind. Wrestling, as we said earlier, is about dominating other people. You do not dominate other humans psychologically by taking a step back. You do it by, and look at this, man. Good for him, man. Win or lose for Florin Stan, that is a big moment for him. Personally, in his life, in his fighting life, he knows exactly who he is. When exhausted, he can still continue to fight.
Yeah, and for anyone at home, after almost 15 minutes of being ground on like that, to have the energy, to have the drive to do it, as Robin said, absolutely incredible. So now what would you do here, Robin? Do you stand up? Do you just try and lay some punishment on Kielbasa?
Yeah, you're hoping to position and keep a hand free and punch until the end. Oh, he landed it. One elbow at the end.
Oh. You don't always like to see that, but also...
Well, he did land an elbow at the end, and Colton was like, dude. And he was like, what's up? Truthfully, I mean, for Florin Stan, he knows he ended the fight on top, right? And that is a victory. That is a psychological victory. But the actual victory, the factual victory, I believe, will go to Colton Kielbasa.
The victory that will go on any sort of record? Yes, I think so. I think it'd be hard to disagree with that. Andy, do you have a view of where...
Did you hear that, Robin?
In case you didn't hear, guys at home, Kielbasa came over and said bink at the beginning with the head kick.
It's true. It was a bink.
It was.
We started the night off immediately with a head kick bink.
And that's what you like to see. So, Andy, going back to that question, Any other way we don't see this as a win for Kielbasa?
Not at all, not at all. I scored this 30-27, just, you know, Colton's a mastermind of keeping and controlling his opponent.
Perfect. So we will go over to Tom now for the official winner announcement.
Well, after 3 rounds of 5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner. Well, the winner is the man in the red corner, Colton Kielbasa!
Not a surprise there, Andy, a pretty dominant performance, but we'll hand over to Robin now for an interview with Colton Kielbasa.
Colton Kielbasa, man. So you started off with a head kick, bink, right off the bat, baby, bink. Now, wrestling, you grew up wrestling. You have no neck, you literally look like the prototype of a wrestler. Wrestling is about the physical domination of other men.
Yep.
And that's how you fought here tonight.
Absolutely. Absolutely, brother. We come in every day, we train hard as fuck over at Mark Force MMA in Bangkok, guys. Great gym, new gym. If you guys are in Bangkok, fucking check that shit out. Everybody at home, thank you for the support. Bing, thank you.
Hey, listen, one last thing. I'm going to let you go enjoy, but you can't enjoy too much because you will be cornering your cornerman in our co-main event. Is it inspiring to travel with somebody who will take a fight against Bertel Groenhart on 12 hours?
Brother, no bullshit. This motherfucker right here, in Thailand, we'd see him fight. One day, take a rest, fight the next day. One day, fight the next day. I'm not fucking surprised that this motherfucker is taking it on 1 day notice. He brought his fucking mouthpiece, cup, everything to here. He was coming to corner me, and I was like, yo, I know he's bringing that for a reason. Sure enough, he's fucking taking the fight. All props to this motherfucker right here, Chris Kirsch.
Props to you too, my friend. Hey, listen, enjoy it. Take a few minutes to enjoy it, and then focus in and help this man get ready.
Absolutely.
Your winner, ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you.
Colton Kielbasa. Congrats.